Son of a gun. Are we live? Oh, yeah, we're live. Ooh, why'd
Good
you hit it
morning.
so fast? I wasn't even ready, girl. What's going on?
We got people waiting. So like sometimes we just got to push the button. We can't wait till all your makeup's good.
Oh, man, what do you think? I'm looking
You did get a
luscious.
haircut. I do see a lot less hair on your head though. You do.
I did. I got a haircut at the Exclusive Way over here in San Antonio, Texas. My buddies over there, Isaiah, I'm actually going to follow up with them probably this week because they're amazing and we need to get the word out. We need people to know about them. Holy moly. Okay, so I think we should talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we do have like a topic, right?
Yes, and you know what? I cheated because I always forget what the name of the conversation is. And so I did a little continuous improvement. Okay. So today we're going to talk about rest and recovery.
Yes.
And I know I've got some fun stories, and I know we talked about it yesterday. You did a bunch of research over the past week. So we're going to have some really good stuff. And before we go there,
yes,
right, we got to celebrate our people.
Yes.
We got Buddy Brumley. What's going on, Mr. Buddy? Good morning. He's out there very active. What did you think about the picture he sent this morning?
Is that crazy?
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there are multiple pictures. So it was one of the beautiful sunrise, which is in my mind a signal that we're stopping and taking a moment, which is a big deal because we'll talk about that today. Yes. But also the other picture I sent was like a picture of me walking one of his jobs 3 years ago.
And, oh, wow.
And that's what that picture was. And then he took a picture of what he was wearing today. He looks the exact same.
Hey, he's consistent. When the style works, buddy, just keep rocking that style.
Yes.
Oh, man. Look. Somebody's doing some covert posting here.
That dude's back. Oh yes, that's the guy behind the curtains.
Yes, we got DJ Hootie Hoots spinning the ones and twos.
Which means Jesse has to focus today and doesn't get to use it as an excuse to not, go a little deeper than usual.
Man, I need to switch over to my phone yesterday. That was more fun. Mr. Jim Gontorez, good morning, coming in from the back deck.
Did you hear him yesterday? He said, I don't know if his wife's out there with him, but he said he's going to try to put earbuds in this morning because the rest and recover conversation could spark some, him having to be accountable to some stuff.
Normally I would say that's cheating, but not in this case. Baby steps, take it small. Good idea, Mr. Jim. We got Mr. Will, Aspiring Better Humans. Man, have you been checking out his live stream? On Wednesdays?
Well, he's got a couple things going on. I can't keep up with him. Two, I feel like we have a lot going on, and then because I follow him and I get notified of all of his stuff, it's like I can't. I get on my LinkedIn and I'm like Will's everywhere. So I've gotten to catch a couple of them. Yes.
Yes. The most recent one was on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and his guest, I can't remember his name, but man, he said. What takes me 600 words to say, his guest said it in 5. I was like, dude, y'all got to go back and watch it because there's powerful, valuable things for you as an individual or for us as an individual, and also for organizations that are working to close that gap. So what's going on? And he's got a website coming up. So check that out.
Next week he's got Michelle Cordy, which I follow her on LinkedIn. She's amazing. She's in the same headspace as him, and she's trying to just inspire people and kindness and love and compassion. And so if you don't follow her, but he's got her on his Wednesday thing next week. So that's super exciting.
Yes. Oh my God. We got people coming in for real. Miss Dana Pearson. She's been missing the tribe. Happy to have you back, Miss Dana.
Yes.
Looking forward to if you're available for the after party.
Yes.
And then our buddy Bruce up in Queens, New York City says, what's up, everyone? Adam giving a shout out. He needs this episode. I think we all absolutely need it. Kirby Coates coming in saying, good morning. She is guilty of doing some rest and recovery.
Yes.
So shout out to her, Mr. Ian Smith. Good morning, who added value yesterday on the live stream, talking about.
And he posted, he shared a picture of him with the book.
Yes, he did. Ian, thank you. I still got to follow up with you, man, to get some of that feedback. And then Justin, we didn't scare him off. He's back.
Nice.
What's going on, Justin? Thank you, brother,
Welcome.
for coming back to us. Coming in from Charlotte, Miss Cindy Becerra, another that added value on the pop-up yesterday. That pop-up was fun. Like we had a bunch of people.
Well, you had way more fun, like turning your phone around and doing like crazy stuff. But it was good conversation.
Oh yeah, we got another person accomplished with taking pictures of the Lean and Love 5S Love Letters book.
Yes.
Yesenia, how you doing, girl? Steve Martin, here we go. No, the chief marketeer is taking PTO this morning. He's heading out on the bikes, rest and recover field trip. Oh man, I can't wait to see the videos and the pics of that. You enjoy yourself, Mr. Martin. Thank you for taking care of yourself, my friend. Amy Campbell.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we got Miss Rachel Boyd. You know her, right?
I do. And she's been watching out, making sure I've been taking vacation this week.
And
getting my
Rachel Boyd, Miss Rachel, I will be calling you because you and I are going to team up to make sure Jen is resting and recovering.
I don't know so much like that.
Yeah, it'll be here's Mr. Carl Sean Watkins. Was the guest on Wednesday with Will. Amazing resource. I messaged him. He responds. Super gracious guy. I've got to schedule a call with him because I know I'm going to learn something. Thomas LeMay says, fabulous morning to think with your feet up. Man, I should put my feet up.
Yes, I like that.
With pics of my feet. No? No, okay. So Valerie Hendricks says, good morning. Good morning, Valerie. Glad, man, we got a big party going on. Mr. Marty Thompson.
Marty, I'm going to see you next month. So I will be up in Huntsville next month. So I will this month. I'll find you.
And he's going to he wants an autograph, Jennifer.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to see him. So then he'll have to track you down because he'll see me this month.
Okay. Well, we'll have to work it out, Marty. I'm happy to do that. One more. Miss Maria Martin says, morning. Won't be talking much because she's getting ready for a family reunion.
Whoa, nice.
Ooh.
That's okay. We know you're there.
Topic. Interesting. I'm gonna come back to that, Miss Maria, just so you know, like the family thing and does that even mean like rest and recovery for some people? Because for some people it may.
And for some people, no.
Some people know, right?
It's like
some
high, like stress and what the energy level and the take and the give and all that. That's a lot. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So,
wait, you got one more.
Where?
Greg Crumpton.
Oh, Greg. Okay, Greg Crumpton coming in from Greenville, South Carolina. He also took a picture. He got his book, took a picture with it.
Nice.
And, sounds like he hung out with Mr. Hoops.
Adam, yes.
And they had some good conversation. And man, I'm gonna be up in South Carolina here in a couple of weeks.
And we both will be next month.
Next month for sure. Yes. Next month.
If we need to sign any books.
Yeah, you know, if anybody's looking for signatures. Also, we're planning. What do you think about the book signing party we're gonna have in New Orleans?
Oh yes, because Congress is in New Orleans in mid-October, and we're scheduling a event that's not quite, we'll start sharing that information, and it'll be a fun place to come hang out, and books may be available there too.
Yeah, when it's going to be as scheduled and planned as as I am prepared to do. So that means it's going to be fun. Plenty of room for fun and excitement to happen.
Yes.
So what are you thinking about this rest and recovery thing, Ms. Jen? Where shall we start?
Well, one, I think just where it came from and why we thought it was important, I think. And then we both have had multiple conversations about this specific topic because of how we maybe don't put that as a priority.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go. Should I go first? You know,
Yes.
I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna set you up, and then it's gonna be all you. What do y'all think? Come on, Ray. What do you think, Rachel? I should do that, right?
No.
Yeah, totally. You know, the past month, I think it's been a month, like 3 to 5 weeks ish, where I've been experimenting with my schedule to build in time to rest, reflect, and recover. And today we're specifically focusing on rest and recover. We've talked a lot about reflection. There happens to be like a bunch of doodles out there about reflecting. And you can find them in the book. But the rest and recover part was, I have a reflection cadence, which is my journaling, having coffee with myself. Miss Kim White, Princess Kim White, introduced that practice to me. And so that's a daily thing. But the rest and recover thing was absent. And so what I would typically do is fill my calendar. And I'm pretty disciplined about scheduling or planning out the stuff. I have a kind of a weird method, but it works for me. And I'll go in there, and every single day there's stuff, and every single day, like Saturdays and Sundays too, because when you're a social media mogul, right, like it's what you got to do. But what was happening, and so here's what was happening, is I've got all these things to do. And yes, I'm hyper productive. And yes, I've got all this stuff on social media. I got to produce content, blah, blah, schedule, write agendas, because I'm very meticulous about my agendas. But what's happens is there's like this human life thing that continues to pop up. And every day I've got to deprioritize some tasks because there's something else that's more urgent, a phone call, helping my mom, or eating sometimes. And like that turns into a longer day. And then it's 8 or 9 p.m. and I need to work out, and I need to do all the stuff that's necessary for us to take care of ourselves. So then things spill over to the next day and spill over to the next day. And then, so there's one piece of it where it's all these tasks that I have to get done. But the other piece, like the hidden piece, is not so much the task that I need to get done, but it's also the piece of feeling like I'm failing and there's no way out. Right. And or being uglier or shorter with people, instead of giving them my full attention and open mind. I'm very short and rushed, or I'm just ignoring calls or whatever. So that was a big thing. The other big thing that's totally the new thing, the new thing, the greatest piece of awareness that has come into my head is, when I have an emotional experience, it takes a lot of energy out of me. And so, you know, not too long ago, I lost a friend of mine, and I knew that, we knew it had happened. There was a little bit of time to process that. Then there was the rosary and, you know, all the services. Mm-hmm. So I was able to plan, because that was a negative experience. And so I planned, like, I'm not going to do anything else except for go to that thing, because I knew there was going to be an emotional hangover for me, which, again, Princess Kim has taught us, melty, right? It's going to put us in a melty season, very delicate, make bad decisions, short-sighted decisions, emotional decisions. And so we got to protect ourselves from that. What I wasn't aware of is that same emotional hangover is also prevalent when we have awesome experiences. And we just released the book, right? We finally finished the editing. We pressed the button, and we've had the parties, and people are posting about it. And so all of those awesome experiences also tax my energy, because it's this extreme high, like, oh my God, things are awesome, things are beautiful. But I don't block out any time to recover from that. Mm-hmm. And so I can't focus on the work I need to do, etc. And so before I go any further, Jen, like, what do you think about that, the emotional hangover, the meltiness, and also the element that we kind of put into our system by overcommitting our schedule and not being able to, like, knock them out, and what that feels like?
Well, I think what I heard you just say, and then things you and I talk about a lot, is we try to plan and we try to be productive and we try to be efficient and we try to eliminate the waste because that's how our brains work. And we know we have goals and objectives and things that we have to accomplish. And so we create what we need to be able to reach those goals, milestones, things like that. And because that's our normal MO and that's how we function, for whatever reason, we talk about this a little bit in the book, but we talk about it a lot on the live stream, is like when we go to work, that's our place where we, try to reach our goals and hit those milestones and those objectives. And then we leave there to go home. And for whatever reason, like we don't have goals, milestones, things to achieve. We just go and we just try to survive whatever that is until it's time to go back to work. And what I've realized through a lot of conversations and also you pushing me more than I think I've been pushed is the rest and recover for both sides. And that the taxing, the sometimes, and you said it earlier, like with Maria, but like the family, the energy, the need, the, people that rely on you and what you have to do when you go home and sit down or you go home and you're in that element, that's not rest and recover. So it's not helping you get prepared for the next day to go to work. It like there's still all those obligations and the need, for you to help and to be very focused and, giving people attention and the things like that you're still active. You're still doing something that is not allowing you to kind of be able to reset so that you can be your full self there and at work. And for me, that's a lot of what I've been having to grapple with. I think the most is work. And then, okay, I'm checking out from work, so I'm good. So I'm gonna reset, but I'm not resetting because I have two girls that need my attention, and I have family that relies on me to do things. My brothers moved last weekend, and so there was some committing time for that. And then you got to go to bed, and then you got to get up, and then all of a sudden it's Monday morning again, and like we don't stop and like really take the time to. I'm like Steve Martin this morning. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to rest and recover. I'm going to go do something for me.
Yes.
I think that's where we struggle.
Yes, 100%. Because we want to, like, I got to deliver. I got to do more. I got to serve. And it's good, but you also got to take care of yourself. So our buddy Ian Smith says the term energy is perfect. I look at my life like I have so much energy to expend. And by the end of the day with my interactions, my tank is low. That's when he knows he needs to get quiet so he can recharge. And he's noticed that when he doesn't get the recovery period in, he is not his best self for him and others. Like that, thank you, Ian. That's perfect. Like that piece about taking care of myself is a hard, like it's counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense. I got stuff to do, right? I can make everything happen. I'm awesome. But when I don't take care of myself, I'm underserving the people that I'm killing myself for, right? Like I'm not able to deliver the quality of value or the depth of interaction that I want to because I'm running on fumes all the time. And so I want to throw a question out to the NoBS Tribe as we're going through this conversation. Share your rest and recovery cheat codes with the Omniverse because I think we can all benefit from them, right? Some of us feel like, for me, it was one big thing was the realization that if I take care of myself, I can better serve people and I can better serve myself. So like, oh, okay, now I really need to do it. And then understanding that it's not just recovering from hard work and hard experiences. It's also recovering from the amazing, beautiful experiences. And I can see those. I can somewhat predict that those things are coming up. And because of that, I need to put things in order. Absolutely. Now, for me, the way that really I was able to see it is because training for the marathon in December and my focus on nutrition needed adjustment. And, I have this app, Uber Eats, that like, I don't know why, it'll just send me like fried chicken and pizza all the time. And the frequency at which it's sending me the fried chicken and pizza are aligned with the times of my emotional hangovers. So I'm having this big emotional experience, positive or negative,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm deciding to let that signal to me is that when I have those experiences, what happens is my willpower or my discipline is eroded. And so I let the app overpower me and end up with like super delicious, but not so nutritious yummies in my tummy. But long term, that's not the plan. It doesn't help because I'm training for a marathon. And I gotta get lean. I gotta get trimmed to be ready to go out there and perform and hit the target that I'm going for. And so, I kind of alluded to this. What I've been playing around with is blocking out 2 days in my calendar. And they're specifically for rest, reflect, and recover. And so just to give some clarity, the reflection part is, okay, what was on my calendar the previous days? What needs to be complete? That's the recover part. Let me finish those things up so that I get back on track and I don't have this like sense of failure up on my shoulders. And I don't schedule anything else. Now, if a client, it's necessary that we connect on that day, then we're going to connect on that day.
Right.
But I'm not going to add other stuff, right? Like I'm not going to go and create new backgrounds and create new, like I'm not going to produce any content. I'm not going to add any of that stuff on there.
No audiobooks. Do not make any commitments to any audiobooks for the next month.
Yeah, we're not going to do any audiobooks. So what do you say? Oh, but see, Jen, we have to. If we're going to help people rest, reflect, and recover, the best way for them to do that is by listening to the book on their way home.
I'm not sure that's going to be recoverable.
So while we're there, here's a question to the group. The thinking right now is, if you've seen the book, it's structured a little differently. It's very unique, awesome, engaging structure. And right now, our working idea is that the way the audio version would be is with 3 different voices. It may not match the book at all after we record it, but those 3 voices would be Adam Hoots, Jennifer Lacey, and me. So I don't know if y'all think that's a cool idea. Let us know. But that is definitely on the board. It is part of the plan, but it is part of the long-term plan. We're still trying to figure out like how to live this amazing experience with y'all. So adding more, it's going to be a little much. So back to the calendar. I got my 2 days, and it allows the space for me to recover and to rest. The rest part is not adding extra stuff to it. And what I've found is when I'm pushing tasks from Monday to Tuesday, I don't feel as guilty or as insufficient as I used to, because I still have time to get it done on Wednesday. I've also found that I'm going to bed on time. I'm getting better sleep because I'm not waking up with the scaries because I have time. I have a buffer in my calendar to absorb those things and get them done. And my Uber Eats app is not beating me anymore. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
I love that, but it was intentional. Like you had to just not go, oh, I'm going to try to do better, and then wake up and then still live in this cycle of frustrations and then highs and lows, and then I did it again. Oh, I did it again. Like it was intentional.
Yes,
and I think that was huge because we live in our calendars, and that's kind of how it dictates a lot of what we do. We travel a lot. We do a lot of things with a lot of different people, and so the intentional part of it, I think what I heard from you is I had to do these things to be able to help kind of regulate me yourself. Yes. And that's huge. And because we are a tribe and a group of people, we are a group of people that are high performers and that get things done and that are super productive and that are high achievers and want to continue to reach something. And it's like, we just hit this amazing milestone. Okay, what's next? Like that is our normal way we function. And you and I, we do this all the time where we have to like almost call each other out. Like, okay, let's create some stabilization of, hey, we just did this. Let's stabilize. Okay, now let's reset. What does that look like? And what does that look like going forward? And being intentional. And so the intentional part in my example, and I love that Rachel's in the chat this morning because she was part of that intentional piece for me, because I will just keep going, because that's what I do. Like, yes. I do something and then, okay, what's next? Because I'm excited and my energy is going and so Rachel, like, again, she's amazing and she helps me. I mean, everything I do is because she's helped me get there. And she and I had a really, I'm not saying it was a crucial conversation. It wasn't a tough conversation, but it was this past week. It wasn't this past week. It was the week before last. And I was struggling with having so much and trying to figure out, okay, I do this. Oh, I was just forgetting things, or what's the priority? But I knew it was in my head. And she does everything she can to support me and help me function, because she's amazing like that. But it was in my head. And so I had to have a really, really crucial conversation with her that I needed her help. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I need your help to manage me. And I know that word, we don't like manage, but it's like, I need your help, because right now there's so much going on in my head that I'm not doing a good job, and I'm doing a disservice to myself. Yes. And her response was magical, because she's like, I want to do whatever I can, Jennifer, but when you tell me things, like, who am I to know more than you? And if you tell me, schedule this meeting, schedule this, whatever, like, then you know what you need to do. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, yes, but I hear you, but sometimes I don't. And like, what do you mean? Because there's the things that I'm responsible for and things that I do. And she tries to just help me be there and help me, accomplish those things. But we get so caught up in the do's and the what ifs and all those things, we don't take into account that you can't do this. And so I had to like give her permission. Like, I'm giving you permission to tell me no. And she was like, whoa, what? Like, that's like super uncomfortable. I'm like, I hear you. And that doesn't mean that all the no's have to be like, that's the way it's going to be. But I need you to go, Jennifer, you told me to set these boundaries within your calendar. You told me that you need to block out these days because of this with your family or this, whatever. You told me to do that. And now you're asking me, or now you're scheduling a meeting during that time. I'm either going to reschedule it, or we need to figure out, is this necessary? And it was like a conversation that needed to happen. And yet I didn't even know it needed to happen until it happened. And now she's like empowered, and I have given her full permission to like manage it and not have to go through me. And it was like, it just lifted a whole lot of stuff off my shoulders.
Yes. I mean, so a key point there, and I'm gonna go to because we're getting a lot of cheat code, but a key point there is you got to have a system, right? And sometimes the system, maybe the most important thing about realizing or coming to terms that we do need a system is saying, I need help because I'm not having fun. And then Justin's lighting it up. Justin says, cheat codes. Think about the other person's life and needs when in a tough situation. It's easier to know when you need to rest and recover, but not as easy to realize when other teammates need to do the same so they can be at their best. Beautiful, Justin. And so that's kind of sums up what you were just talking about, right? We're on the same team. Adam's on the same team. The NoBS Tribe is a team.
Yes.
So we can look out for each other and say, hey, you know, when you start seeing me maybe misspell a word or two, because y'all already know, like, my grammar is perfect, I might need to get some rest. No, that's a joke. Not really. Look, there you go.
Decide what taco toppings need to go on the.
Oh my! All right, you brought it up, Jen. Look, Yesenia says we all need someone to help us say no. Absolutely 100%.
Yes.
That is solid because I use my calendar to help me say no. I use my scale to help me say no. But really, my calendar is really, really helping me out because, like, these are the things I need to rest so that I can say no. So I'm going to go to some of the cheat codes that are out there,
yes.
and then we're going to talk about tacos. Y'all don't let me forget about tacos because this is deep and important, and it actually triggered the research that Jennifer conducted in preparation for this conversation. So one thing that we do need to know, Kirby, we've had this conversation. Jen, you and I have had this conversation. Dana Pearson says how we recharge can be very different for individuals. 100%. And so what's important, like, thank you, Dana. That is dead spot on. There's stuff out there, there's content out there that tells us how to recharge. And in our support and capability calls that we've been having, I asked the question, and I've been asking it over and over and over. What do you do? What will you do to rest and recover between now and Monday? And everybody, almost every single time, it's like, ooh, right? And generally, two things came up on that conversation. Generally, what people list is they're basically saying, not my day job, which is like, right? We got to think about that. And then on our support and capability call, because we're type A, like highly competitive, we started getting competitive about who's going to rest and recover hardest. Kirby Coates. I'm joking. It wasn't just Kirby. But like that is our thing. And so like the takeaway, you touched on it earlier, Jen, is we are high output, high intensity people. Mm-hmm. And on our calls, and when I say we, I'm talking about the NoBS Tribe. We do good. Like we spend a lot of time and energy asking one another, what are you doing? What's on your plan? What are your goals for the day? What are your goals for the week? And the reality is we really don't need help with making things happen. All the NoBS Tribe out there in the Omniverse, y'all make things happen every single day. So the questions that we need to be asking each other to support one another are not, what are you going to accomplish? What we need to be doing is building that new capability of taking care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. We need to be asking each other, what will you do between now and whenever to rest and recover? And so that was one big takeaway. So some other cheat codes. Kirby coming in, her smallest but easiest cheat code is turning the radio off and all the amazing podcasts. You get a pass on that, Kirby. You absolutely do. So she turns off the radio on her commute because silence is hard to come by, right? And silence can be
nonstop all the time.
Like, right? It's busy, static. We got all the things coming to us. And so back to earlier, we have to discover, because we're so poor. Let me rephrase that. I had to learn what conditions help me rest and recover. The conditions that help me rest and recover are not the same for everybody else. And I didn't know what they were until I started trying to learn it. Right? I meditation, Ian Smith, he shares a cheat code with us about meditation. Right? Meditation, pleasure reading, playing with the kids and laughing, doing something that fills his heart, volunteering, absolutely. Calling his mom, talking to his brothers, blocking out negativity, true crime podcasting. Like that's an amazing list. And I bet it goes on and on because there's like a lot of little dots after that last one. So he clearly has discovered what he does to rest and recover. Some of those things on that list aren't going to speak to me. They're not going to help me. And so, but we got to go out there and do it to figure it out. Like take a stab at it. Jen, would you mind talking about some of the things that you've tried? Now, we're not talking about tacos yet. I'm going to talk about some of the things you've tried to rest and recover.
Right. So again, you do a really good job of like bringing it in front and having that conversation and forcing me to have to like think about it. And we've, I like to draw and I like to read, and there's a lot of things that, and I like to write. So those are all things that I enjoy. They're not in my schedule. And so we've tried you've kind of challenged me like, hey, just, try to draw or try to just sit and be with yourself and, write and journal. Like we've kind of bounced around a lot of things. And I'm like, I'm willing to try anything. And everything was just like a task. Like it was just like, I did it or I didn't do it. And if I didn't do it, then I'm not doing this rest and recovery thing the right way because I was failing. And I was like, I didn't do it this morning, or I didn't have time, or I got distracted. And so it was causing more stress because I was trying to rest and recover. It was like, I know that's crazy, but like, that's what it was doing. Cause my conversations with you, it's like, it was stressful to talk about not being able to accomplish it because it was a list of things that just, it wasn't what I needed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yes.
Yes. So. And so we had to like back out and let's say, okay, hold on. Like this just, how much time can you give it?
Right.
Right. And it's evolved, and we'll talk more about the evolution after the tacos. And you said it, right? It feels like work. Jeff, who just had knee surgery, he's been, what's the word? He says convalescing at home because he can't walk around. He says rest and recovery is actually a form of work. Yes, but it doesn't have to be stinky, right? It doesn't have to be painful or stressful. And it takes practice to do it well, 100%. And believe him, after being off of his feet for a month now, he still has a lot to learn. And often and I'm going to call you out, Adam, if you ignore the whispers, you will cause them to scream. Mm-hmm. And often...
Say it again, because that's a quote. That's a very important quote.
If you ignore the whispers, you will cause them to scream. And so if we don't take care of ourselves, those little whispers of you're sharp and edgy with somebody, or you're frustrated, or you're tired, or the quality of your work is getting less, those are little whispers that you may need some recovery time. And then you start getting sick. And then you get put in bed for a few days or a few weeks. So we've got to listen and receive what the whispers are telling us so that we can take care of ourselves, because we cannot, not us as human beings and even machines cannot go without maintenance. We need the maintenance time. Jeremy Atkinson says, I need help with not making things happen, needs to learn how to pause, reflect, and recover. So first of all, Jeremy, thank you for making your contribution to making the book signing happen in New Orleans, because Jeremy is the source. He's given us some cool spots, and we're going to select one of those spots. But I think, Jeremy, you're not alone, right? We are all compelled to, like, we got to go, we got to deliver, we got to go, we got to deliver. Need to learn how pause, reflect, rest, and recover. And this was the way I kind of figured it out. It's like, okay, I know how to make things happen. I've made a lot of things happen, right? Like Maria Martin says, making it an audiobook is accessible, which should be standard. I know how to make standards happen. But how? So I had to examine what are the things, what are the tools, what are the mechanism I use to make things happen? My calendar. So, okay. So there's tools. And the point is, there's tools that everybody here on the call in the Omniverse use to make things happen, to get the kids to school, to get them to all of the stuff, to get your hair fixed up, to get all beautiful and pretty like me. Like, there are things that we do that ensure that all of the wheels keep turning. So I decided to use those things, my mural board, my Trello board, my calendar, all of those things I'm using to make sure that I've got rest and recovery in. And so I don't know the answer for everybody, but I do know that everybody on the call can make things happen. So the tools that you use to make those things happen, apply it the same intensity, right? I'm kind of made this little shift in my thinking also, because thinking about work-life balance always just bugged the hell out of me. And so now I think about it in terms of work-life intensity. Am I giving all of the things that are important to me the same amount of intensity. Because when I got a task, boy, it's going to happen. And period, with whether you like it or not, like I'm going to push and it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But do I give the interactions with my family the same measure of intensity? Do I give my yard and my laundry and my dishes the same degree of intensity? Do I give myself my self-care the same degree of intensity? And so that for me was like, ooh, the answer is no. Absolutely, or was no. It's getting better. It's kind of like mostly. But giving that kind of intensity to that I give to executing tasks, to taking care of myself, has helped me tremendously. What do you think, Jen?
Yes. And so the way you were saying it in my mind is also like, it's an issue for me because of the intensity that I have at work and the intensity that I show up with and get things done, and the intensity of, coming into an alignment meeting or an onboarding or, a training class, things like that, the way I show up. And, there's a lot of energy and it's full, I'm there 100%. What I also realized is with that intensity, which is where I live a lot of times, when I show up that way with my family, when I show up that way with my girls, like I still have to stop and assess the surroundings and the interactions and what's going on, because when my role at work, it's like the expectation is the intensity. The expectation is you've got to be there and you've got to be the answer and you've got to help facilitate and, lead and things like that, because that's the expectation at work. I mean, at home, sometimes that's not needed. And that I don't need to be the one showing up with this high intensity expectations. Here's what we're going to do. Here's all these things, like, and so I've had to, for me, like I have to assess. And I think sometimes we forget that, like, assess the situation and assess what we're doing. And with that family time or with even that rest and recovery time, like assess ourselves and assess the environment and assess the things that are important. And then, okay, what do I need to do? And for me, because I had two girls, 11 and 13, that intensity sometimes will just derail any conversation we're trying to have, because I have high expectations and I want them to succeed. And, just the way that I have to communicate with them, I even have to adjust how I show up in those interactions. And for me, that was a huge thing, because I'm just like, it works and this is who I am, but it's not. We have to make those adjustments, and we have to look at who we're engaging with. And it's a great conversation. And we can segue back to you, is like, is it not the same thing at the job site? Is it not the same way we show up to work? Is I go into one meeting and I'm and then I go over here and I have a conversation with somebody else. But if I'm not stopping and looking at them and observing and assessing how they look, how they're responding, how their mannerisms, the nonverbal things, if I'm not assessing that before I show up and with all my intensity and everything else, it may not produce what I'm trying to produce.
Yeah, you end up getting in your own way. Like Thomas LeMay and I have been recording the collabo session on the go, and several times he talks about the OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. You got to observe and you got to orient, like what's going on and what does this mean? Okay, decision and act. But if you're just going, you're creating problems. You're adding waste into the thing. And there you go. Thank you. Miss Maya Little says setting boundaries has been a big help for me. Beautiful. And what are we talking about? We got to have to establish some boundaries.
And so, I suck at that. So sometimes you have to enlist people to help you set the boundaries.
Yes.
Because I just will own that I'm not very good at setting boundaries, because I want to, I want to help everybody and I want to do everything I can to better our industry and to better connections and relationships. And I just want to be able to do so much more than I physically can. Yes. And so it's hard for me to go no to you, but yes to you. Or like, I struggle with that. And I had to enlist people to help me with that.
So Dana says, I would choose the word discipline versus work. Being in tune and structuring the time and defending it, protecting, guarding it from the robust activity of our schedules, it's hard to say no to someone and put time for yourself when helping others really brings meaning. But keeping in mind what Jesse, this guy right here, stated, that I will be able to better serve those people if I care for my needs to rest. 100%. Thank you, Miss Dana.
He does say some things that are.
You know what? I know somebody that agrees that I bring like extreme vulnerability and just really put myself out there.
Oh my gosh.
Like
no, it's like you call Jesse and you're excited about something and you're like sharing with him that my mom called me and was like, Jen, because she's reading the book and it's exciting because my mom's reading the book and she's like reading it. She's like, I'm halfway through. And she's like, yeah, like Jesse's vulnerability in this book, like it just allows people, and she just starts feeding into this whole Jesse. And I'm like, and so of course I'm excited. So I share Jesse, all Jesse heard, not that my mom's reading the book, not that she's giving me feedback, not the value I brought to the book. All he heard was, yeah, it's me. And it's my vulnerability. And it's so now it's like every time we talk, it's like, that's what he's got to highlight. I'm like, whatever.
Yes. So we'll go through a couple more cheat codes and then we're going to come back to tacos because I know everybody's like, tell us about the damn tacos. So Yesenia says she's been struggling with rest and recovery, and that's okay. Yesenia, I guarantee you ain't alone, sister. So the last couple of weeks, she's made it intentional and purposeful to take her morning slow. Fantastic. This included having coffee, making breakfast, and exercising and stretching. Well done, Miss Yesenia. That's love it. Thank you. Mr. Jim Gontoria says weekend mornings on the deck, that's his place. Too often he feels like somebody's getting cheated out of what they need when I'm not actively doing something. Oh, there's a lot right there because whose expectations are we performing to? Again, I'm going to say it again. The NoBS Tribe is full of people that are high output, high empathy folks that we want to deliver. And I'll bet you money. I'll bet you I'll bet you a table dance performed by me. That most of the expectations and most of the things that you're working to deliver were not requested by somebody. It's a standard that you have defined that you want to provide. I'll bet you. And so because you're the ones, or we are the ones that are creating that expectation, we also get to pump the brakes and lower, or I shouldn't even use the word lower, pump the brakes and set reasonable expectations, because we do not deliver in reasonable terms. We deliver in a high aptitude, high level output, and that is not necessary all the damn time. Got another cheat code from Mr. Jeff. He says going outside and just listening. Oh my God, here we go. Perfect segue into taco time. Going outside and just listening to nature and whatever else goes by outside is a huge recovery tactic for me. It's very healing to just sit and listen to whatever is going on without needing to do anything about it. Absolutely, Jeff. I appreciate that, my friend. And then Mr. Hoots says his cheat code called Jess. That's the peacock, because peacock is my spirit animal. So Jen, so I'm gonna set up the stage for you.
Okay.
Jen. So Jen and I had gone during our book signing tour last week, the first wave of our book signing tour. We had gone to get lunch. We went to get food.
Yeah.
And we went into a taco joint, right, to get some tacos for everybody to eat. And so we come up to the plate, to the thing, wherever you got to order. And Jen was kind of frozen and paralyzed by the options. And to give, it's not all on Jen. There was some ambiguity into how to order and what was available. But it totally locked her up. And she was like, you could see. Can you describe to the crew what you were experiencing at that time and how we got out of that?
Yes. So, and we've talked about it a lot and so far in this conversation. It's just sometimes we're just going, and that's our, and we don't take the time to rest and recover. And we talked about it a little bit on the pop-up yesterday. Was sometimes we need that time to like let the thoughts and ideas that are in our head kind of come out, or become something, so that we then create space for other things. And so that was that week. I mean, we again finished up a board retreat workshop. We had some book launching things. We were job site walks. I mean, there were a lot of events that we were a part of, and a lot of energy that had to go into those events. And then on our way, somewhere else, we stopped to order a bunch of tacos for a group of people. And like, my brain was like, I don't even know where to start. Like, because I had to make decisions, and it was almost like to put it in, I guess, context, it was like a taco place, but like Subway. So it was, you get to pick all your toppings, and you get to, so very specialized tacos versus like Taco Bell, where you just grab a 10-pack. And it was like, what protein and what veggies and whatever. And so not only was it hard because I had to make a choice, but then I was making choices for other people. And I'm looking at the guy, and he's asking me, and I'm looking at the board, I'm looking at Jesse, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And that moment, like, I don't ever not know what to do. Like, even if it's, I need to talk to somebody else, I need to reach out, I need to connect, I don't have the answer, but someone else has the answer. Like, I always at least can, what's the next step? And at that moment, I'm just standing there, people behind us, and I'm like, I don't even know what am I supposed to tell him? And I think it was a trigger, because we talked about that and I posted on it this week. Is like, what is that moment where you're just like, I'm done. Like, I can't even like function and order food, because I had so much going on in my head, and so many things that we were working on, that like just the simple fact of just walking in and placing an order, it was more than my brain could process.
Yeah.
And you got to witness it from the other side. So I don't even know what that looked like.
Oh, no, it was, I was like, huh, is she really stuck? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, she's really, really stuck. But like you said, we had been doing a whole bunch of stuff, and there was a lot going on. And for me, I'm like, ooh, this is a thing that we cannot ignore. So I'm like calculating, okay, like, how can I introduce, like, hey, we need to really remember that rest and recover thing that we were doing. We're really going to need to focus on that, because you can't order tacos. Like, that's a thing. Again, the whispers, right? The whisper was that was too much tacos or too much information to make a decision around. And so we're going to have these kinds of indicators, data points in our life, the whispers that are going to indicate to us like, hey, something's off. And when we listen to the whispers, it's going to help us have a paradigm shift. Maria says she loves paradigm shifts. And so for me, it's a perfect description of how I have come to terms with investing in self-care. And which turns into like a heightened mental wellness, because I'm taking care of myself. But I had to start seeing it from the perspective of, if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to provide my clients, my friends, my family, the industry, the NoBS Tribe, the L&M family, the Omniverse. I am going to underserve them if I don't take care of myself. And I'm going to underserve myself. So once I got there, then it's like, okay, this is serious business. I've got to do something with this so that I can demonstrate the behaviors that I seek. Because it don't take nothing for me to tell somebody that they should take care of themselves. That's easy. But am I taking care of myself? Right? Like, can I speak to how I got there? When I started taking care of myself, I started realizing like, oh, these are some weird things that are going to happen. One example of that is Kirby and I were on a call, and she's like, I'm trying my best to sit down and rest and recover, but I can't, because these ideas are coming out and they're burnt. Like, I can't rest because I have this idea. So she acted upon the idea. Big, that's huge. And so then the question is kind of like, is that a violation of resting? Because I have some experience with it, I'm going to say no. Because yes, deploying that or releasing that thought and idea into the world can create work. Mm-hmm. But if the energy to release it is less than suppressing it, release the damn idea. Right? Release the idea, because now I can take a nap. Now I can rest. But if I don't, if I'm fighting uphill to keep that idea in my head, I'm not going to be able to rest. So we got to put it out there. Now, when the world starts responding to the idea, then I've got some decisions to make. Am I going to continue building that? Am I like, how much energy, what rate am I going to stoke that fire? I can manage that. I don't have to make it a number one priority with all of the other number one priorities. What do you think about that, Jen?
No, you're right. And that's hashtag taco mode. I just need to claim that because Adam will like grab it. And so I think it's real. I think and Rachel, I think, had a comment about like, we live in like taco mode where you're like, you have this moment. And so thank you, Rachel, for reminding me to hashtag that. Sorry, I digress. But like what you just said, and again, our conversations this week. So I've been on vacation this past week. And so the taco incident was the week before. And then we had a call, our support and capabilities call, that Friday, like the end of that week after traveling and everything else. And on that call, you asked each of us, there's five, there were, I think, 5 of us on the call. And you ask everyone, like, what are you going to do this weekend to rest? Like, what are you going to do for yourself? And you ask everybody. And at that point, it was the Friday, and I was going to be on vacation for the next week. And my answer was like, I'm an athlete and I love physical activity. I just don't have time for it. Like, I don't make time for it because it takes away from other people. And so I've just not been intentional on making time for physical activity. And so for me, my rest and recover was, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to go walking. And that was it. That was all I was like for this weekend. Because you asked, what are you going to do this weekend? I said, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go walk this weekend. That's my commitment. And then I did Saturday and I did it Sunday, and I've done it every day since, which is awesome. But all last week, we went to the lake and I got to walk by the lake, and that's physical activity. And so there are people, and we talked about this earlier, and Dana said it, like, what does rest and recovery look like for each person? It's different, because that is like, I was actively doing something, and I was not sitting and like in resting in what people would say was rest. But it was huge for me because I made a commitment to do something for me, number one, only for me. And 2, like the act of physically walking and being able to think and being able to let all these ideas that probably kept me from being able to know if I wanted cheese or cilantro on my tongue. Like all these ideas, like they were able to come. I thought about them, then they were out. And then like I created capacity to be able to like be in the moment when I got back and I got ready, and whatever I was doing that week with my family, I was able to be there, and I wasn't like, oh, what about this? What about that? Like it was not bogging me down just to be in that space with them. And so, you and I've talked about that a lot this week on what is rest and recovery, what is that for each person, and that what it allows to be able then to help us be better functioning people and humans, because we've made those intentional decisions. Yes.
Beautiful. So no more taco mode, at least for now. But here's the thing, like, it's not an event. It has to be a practice, right? Mm-hmm. There's got to be a cadence. There's got to be a cycle around it. I mean, I'm super spoiled because I've got my 3 to 4 days off. I take a month, which, by the way, I'm going to a yoga meditation compound on my
No pictures.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be super special wardrobe, and I will absolutely be posting pictures about it. So I've got that. And then I've got on a weekly cadence, Wednesdays and Saturdays, rest, reflect, and recover. And I'm still figuring that out, which all of it is super, super uncomfortable to me. And I'm going to bring up Maria Martin. She says, it's the personal discipline that I lack. And she call out to Dana. Ditto, sister. And the thing that I've done, the mechanism that I've put in place to make sure that's happening is I've shared it with the people that I trust and the people that have the courage to remind me. I mean, I don't know if it was last night or this morning, Adam was like, hey, bro, I forgot to check. Have you scheduled your next 3 or 4 days off? Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to the compound and I'm not packing any clothes and I've got my camera. Like, it's going to be awesome. Jen asked me a few times, like, hey, have you scheduled each other? There's several people out there. They're like, hey, man, how you doing on your vacation thing? Like, oh, yeah, no, I got it. So because I do lack the discipline. And more importantly, I will benefit from the reminder. And so what is it that I'm working on and how can I recruit resources to help me achieve that? Why? Because that's what I do to make anything else happen. What resources do I need? What are my gaps? Let me go find those resources so I can make this thing happen. And I'll do that for work. I'll do that for a new initiative, but I won't do it to take care of myself. Like, my point in saying all of that is we all have the capability to make this rest and recovery thing a real thing. Because we just got to apply the same thinking that we do to everything else.
I want to dig into that a little bit, Jesse, because there's a quote in the book that you talk about, and I've called you out on it a little bit. And so can you talk about the difference between the resources that hold you accountable and accomplices? Can you talk through that a little bit? And how we sometimes surround ourselves with different people for different things?
Absolutely. After, shout out to Mr. John Odekirk. He says, going fishing at the lake and enjoying outdoor activities. Jason Schroeder, thank you, John. Like fishing, I don't know if you noticed our little doodle down there. We've got some fishing going on. And Buddy and I are going to be fishing in New Orleans in October, whether you like it or not, Buddy. But so resources and accomplices. I could easily, like, I'm working on this self-care thing, right? That's like my primary focus. I could easily have recruited people that would say, man, you're getting all kinds of stuff done. And hey, it's all right. You'll get that vacation time next week. And, you took one last month, so it's not a big deal. But am I really recruiting a resource? Am I recruiting an accomplice? So it's very easy for me to surround myself with people that are going to fan the flame. Another easy way for people maybe to understand it, we've all experienced it, that group of guys or that group of gals that when we break up with somebody, we go with them. And we say, and all they say is, oh, he wasn't worth it or she wasn't worth it. And you're better off without them. And if they can't stand you at your worst, they don't deserve you at your best. And all this rah junk. You're surrounding yourself with accomplices so that they can feed your ego. And that's not a bad thing. But you got to also add in the resources that are going to bring accountability to you and tell you, pump your brakes. You have a problem. You need to do something about it. The very first time that I experienced that as it relates to self-care, this was about the 2019 Congress in Fort Worth.
What?
Yeah. My team, Ryan, Garrett, Jorge, Sean, who else was there? I missed the thing. Like I had to leave early. I didn't go to dinner with the whole team. Andrew, the next day they said, hold on, we got to talk, Jess. I'm like, oh, okay. All 5 of them. It was like an intervention. Like, what's going on? And they're like, dude, like you missed dinner. I was like, I know, I was tired. And like, no. You don't rest. Like, then they were all over the country, right? Denver, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston. Patrick Stutler was there. And they're like, no, you're not resting. You haven't told any of us no for any requests we've made. You haven't taken any vacation. that's why you're sick. And right there in the moment, they made me commit to them to take time off, and they made me give them the days that I would take time off at. Right? Like that was serious. And I was pissed. Like, mind your own damn business. But it helped me, and that's what I needed. So again, they weren't accomplices. They held me accountable. And so we can choose that. We can recruit those resources that are going to help us elevate our game or help us come to terms with the paradigm shift.
Yes, because those people, those resources, and those accomplices, if you are getting pushed outside of your comfort zone, that's usually not accomplices. Usually. That's usually those people that are trying to help you grow and trying to help you look at something from a different perspective, or they see something that you don't. And that's what, whenever I feel a little bit, whatever, it's someone that I really feel like they care about what's actually going on, versus someone that's like, let's just swim in this comfort zone. We're good. Everything's good. We can just live here. And again, we talk about that a lot in the book, and we talk about a lot on here. We talk about that a lot here, is that discomfort zone is where we grow.
Yes. Well, you have like different boundaries on that. Would you mind describing that a little bit?
Well, it's the comfort zone where we live and where we're comfortable. And then it's that discomfort zone where we go and it's those crucial conversations. It's those uncomfortable times that push us outside of where we're safe, maybe sometimes, or where we've already accomplished that, or we've reached that. So we know this is a place that we're not going to have to really push ourselves, and we're not going to have to make some major decision that's going to end up causing a little chaos or causing us to fail. Like that's a huge one, is, oh, what if I don't do well there? Or what if it doesn't work? But once we get into that discomfort zone and we realize like that it's only going to help us, then there's that growth zone. And so it's like, but you have to be in the discomfort zone to get to the growth zone. And you can't just like leap over it. We can't just go from comfort zone to growth. And so it's making those conscious decisions to be able to go, hey, this is pushing me and I am not very okay right now, but I have the right people around me that it's going to be okay. And I think when we can get to that point, and we have an amazing tribe right now around, even if you don't know everybody in the chat, like follow them, like them, go and because they are amazing, and they will give you all the love and all the support and care and compassion that, like, if you don't have it, they are there to do that.
Yes, 100%. And so back to resources, Ian Smith says, thank God for his wife. She allows him to recover. She does a lot of things for him, and he doesn't have to worry about it. We make a great team, and he loves her for allowing him to rest. Beautiful. Thank you for that, Ian. Man, he always brings good stuff. Adam says, John Topes offered to take him fishing in October. Good dude, an hour drive away. Can I set it up? And then Buddy says, let's go fishing, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. And Maria Martin had a good, what is she just had a question.
Maria says, my go-to sentence is, I can't talk about that right, but I would like to discuss it later. Sometimes the level is so high, I just get out the first bit. So I think she's talking about when there's a situation or she's pressed for something that she hasn't completely processed. Like, this is as much as I can get. Give me some time to process, which is she was probably feeling what you should have said when you were ordering the tacos. Like, I can't say that right now. Can I come back and finish my order? So here's a question for Maria. She says, how do you know the difference between someone who causes discomfort because they should grow somewhere else and the healthy discomfort of growth? Ooh,
that sounds like another live stream.
That's a big one, and I'm gonna approach it from the opposite side, and because a lot of us again are continuously improving, and sometimes when we have that. When we are the afflicted, I'm gonna say it that way. We see problems and we want to fix them. One of the 8 wastes is overproduction. And if I come to you with all the value that I have, and impose my value building ideas on you without your request, it is overproduction. Without your permission, it is overproduction. It is one of the wastes. I like to call it solutionizing and solution shanking. And so there are people, and I've experienced it where people like, yeah, if y'all don't know this by now, if you want to motivate me to do something, there's two things. Give me food or give me praise, and I will do just about anything you want me to do. If you want to challenge, if you think like motivating by challenging and talking smack, like I'm just like, oh, really? You think I'm going slow now? I got like 8 more years of slow. And so there are some people that they want, you'll feel it. They will come in and there's a challenge, but if it gets this like, whoa, back the hell off. I didn't invite you. First of all, did you invite them in? Did they get permission? And do they even understand the value that you're seeking? And that is a phenomenal question for all of us to be thinking is, what value is the person in front of me seeking? What do they want? Not what do they need? What do they want? Sometimes we got to test the water and say, hey, Jen, like, you struggling ordering tacos, girl. We got to talk. And based on her response, we'll get somewhere. But when people are invading my space with their value, I do not hesitate to say, back up, bro. Like, I don't need that. Like, whatever, dismissive. Adam and I, in full confession, Adam had made a recommendation around YouTube Premium or something. I'm like, man, I don't need that junk. And I was very dismissive about it. And I had to admit to him yesterday that now I found tremendous value from it because I'm trying to learn these different things. And it just so happened I accidentally got YouTube Premium. Like, for real, it was total accident. I don't even know how the hell I did it, because if I did, I would undo it because it costs money. But it created a situation. I was on a long run, and whatever I was listening to kept playing. And then so the next thing in my feed was like, oh, I've been interested in that. And then the next thing in the feed, like, oh, I was like, oh my God, this could be a total learning resource. I hadn't made that connection. Now, when Adam presented it, I wasn't seeking that value. So I rejected it. But hear me now and listen to me later sometimes is a technique that we need to embrace. Yesenia says, what we want might not be what we need, and vice versa. Beautiful, Yesenia. Yes, 100%. I guess the main takeaway from all of that, Maria, is it's complicated. But we have had some phenomenal cheat codes in the chat, right? Establish boundaries, recruit your team that's going to help you be accountable, figure out, practice, take a shot. Go at every at bat you get. You're going to figure out what works best for you. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, so I saw a quote, and it may have been this past week, I can't remember, but it feeds into some of what Maria said. So I kind of want to follow up a little bit and I know we just have a couple minutes, so I'll give you the quote in a minute. But I think a big piece, Maria, is the people that are bringing that, whatever it is they're trying to push you or pull you or direct you. One, have they already created that trust, and that is there a connection there, and is there trust there as to who the person is? So I think that part, sometimes we don't try to create that environment first. We just go in with our solutions and our ideas. And the other part is, what is their body of work? And Jesse and I talk about this a lot, is what body of work are they bringing into the conversation? Because it's easy to be on the outside and be throwing rocks and picking apart things. But what body of work are they bringing in? And so the quote was, if you won't go to that person for advice, don't listen to the stuff that they come at you with. And I think that's so, and it goes back to the trust and the vulnerability and the authenticity of the relationship and the space that you're in. That if you wouldn't go to them and say, hey, I have this issue, give me your solution. When they come at you with those things, like, don't let it penetrate that, what you have around you, because you've got to be able to receive it, and you've got to be in a place to receive it. But if you wouldn't even go and ask them for help, why would you listen to what they're saying and bringing that to you?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And Cindy Becerra says, yes, you have to be ready to receive 100%. Thank you, Cindy. Well, we went all the way down to the finish line. And so we'll go move on with closing thoughts. But, and so there's this quote from like the sexiest philosopher ever. It says, humans, like machines, need maintenance. And y'all, and so in LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, we've dropped the link for the Clubhouse after party. We will be going there to continue the conversation or at least just hear your voice for the first time.
Yes.
Or reconnect, because we haven't heard some folks' voices in a while. We'll be there in about 5 minutes. But before we go that way, Ms. Jen, closing thought.
Well, again, I think this conversation could be like, we can keep talking about we had so much value coming from the people in the comments, and that we didn't even get to pull them up because there's just so much there. And so I think my biggest takeaway on this is a real topic. And you and I talk about mental health and mental health awareness, and we really feed into that when it comes to our industry, which is construction. But like, this is a huge component of that. And sometimes that gets forgotten. And so I'm challenging every person that is in the chat and has listened to this, but also those that are going to go back and listen to it later, is like, stop and ask yourself, like, what are you doing to rest and recover? Like, yourself, not what you're doing for other people, not what you're allowing, that whatever that is. Like, what are you doing yourself to just have that moment for yourself to rest and recover?
Yes, 100%. And so if y'all don't know, that is a homework assignment from the English teacher. So be ready to come back and report about what you did to rest and recover. And if all you did was research and try some stuff, that is actually even better.
Yes.
And so we'll see y'all. Well, not see y'all. We'll hear y'all in a few minutes.
Yes.
Be cool, and we'll talk at you next time.